We're back. What's up, everyone? Jaylen Waddle got extended. Let's go. I'm honestly so hyped about Waddle. Waddle's gonna be back. It's amazing. Hopefully my frames kind of look low. Well, they're rising, which is good. Let some people get in here and we'll talk about the Waddle extension, which I'm very excited about. Honestly, obviously want to see the real details come out about it, but definitely feeling. Obviously, he was the guy out of the 2021 class that I wanted to extend first, and that's who they got done, so that's definitely exciting. Hold on, let me pull up this real quick. Me do this. Yeah. Just looking through some tweets, they're definitely, I think he's like the 4th highest paid receiver now based on the extension, but definitely good to get the deal done now. And then let me look at some of the, these tweets, which I think are good news overall for Miami. I'm definitely excited for that. It's an extension for 3 seasons, so it's like he's now on the team for another 5 years extension to the initial 3 years. So like really that 28, because it's the deal's like 3 for like 84 or whatever it was. 3 year 84.75 million. And then so that's 28.25 million per year, but that's for the 3-year extension. So technically that doesn't come into play for 2 seasons, which you got to think. So when that 28.25 million does come in 2 seasons, Waddle will probably likely, I think there's a decent chance he's probably your number 1 receiver, like Tyreek could be gone. And by then 28.25 would actually probably be pretty good value for your receiver. And people saying they extended, a number 2 receiver. Waddle is a number 1 receiver. What's up, Garrett? How you doing? But yeah, like Amon-Ra St. Brown got extended. He's getting 30 million a year, which I think getting Waddle for less than that's pretty good value, especially after he got extended after the fact, which is pretty nice. Usually, they just keep going up and up and up and up. Trying to see what these. Wait. Damn. Interesting. Brett Coleman does not think Waddle's number 1. That's crazy. That's it is what it is. He's absolutely a stud, but yeah, so I think the Eagles and the Lions did very similar things with extending their guys, because Devontae Smith and Amon-Ra, they both have signed for 5 years totals, but like with Waddle and yeah, definitely go for Tua next. I agree, Gary. Waddle was a guy of the 2021 class I wanted done first. So I think getting Tua and Waddle done were definitely the most important. But yeah, so it's basically they added 3 years to his existing 2 years. I want to see the actual structure of the contract, see if anything is changed with those first 2 years. I mean, I'm not guessing they are, but I don't think that 28.25 is going to kick in until a few years down the line, which is nice. And even if it did, I still think absolute stud. I think the Eagles did something similar with Devontae Smith. I think they also signed to a 3-year extension, but then he still had 2 years. I think the Lions gave Amon-Ra a 4-year extension when he had a year left on his contract. So they're all like the 5-year totals. So he'll be here for 2028. He did get good guarantees too. It was mostly guaranteed, that part of the contract, 76 mil guaranteed. And then also if you average it out, like if you take the 5-year extension, because he's getting 24 mil combined, it's like I'm looking at Eric Smith's tweet, the O-line coach, and he's saying it basically becomes a 5-year for 109, which is like a 21.8 million per season, which is great value. That's how it ends up looking out. Are you breaking news? I mean, if you're on Twitter, the Twitter people broke the news. I'm just talking about it now. I was prepared to stream. Let me know if I'm lagging at all, because I'm getting some messages. It looks like the frames are back up. The KBPS looks decent again. Yeah, I mean, if you guys haven't seen, Waddle was extended. This just in. Love to hear this. Waddle's my favorite player. I know it sounds stupid. I had Waddle as number one overall in that draft. In fact, that we dropped him blew my mind. Hey, I had Waddle rated very highly. I can't remember which I had him, but he was definitely like pretty sure I had him top 5. Yeah, I like Brett Coleman too. I'm surprised he was talking about Waddle not being a true number 1. But you know, it is what it is. I broke the news. Yeah, it literally it happened 30 minutes ago. It was reported by Rappaport, Schefter. Yeah, 3-year deal, 84.75 mil contract extension that includes 76 mil guaranteed. He's now one of the league's top 5 highest paid wide receivers. But I think it's an extension onto the 2-year deal he already had, so it's technically 5 years overall. And by the time that sort of contract kicks in, it looking like pretty good value. Plus, you got to think in those 2 years, there's a decent chance I could see Waddle being the number 1 for this team with Tyreek potentially being gone. And then I'm just like scrolling through Twitter looking for new tweets. Yeah. Ari Marav is talking about Dolphins still have extensions to work on with QB Tua Tagovailoa. Yeah, already seeing people talking about Jaylen Waddle is very, very good, but this is just too much money to be paying a wide receiver 2 / wide receiver 1B. But he is under contract for 5 years now. His average owed will be the same or less than Devontae Smith. I mean, it's a good deal that it looks like. I want to see the actual contract details. Like, people will overreact in either direction, sometimes. I want to see what the actual details look like before, I give it up. But yeah. Yeah, I just read someone saying, like, if you look at the extension and you look at it compared over the 5 years, it's around the same as Devontae Smith. So Devontae Smith is kind of in a similar situation as Waddle, but I would probably take Waddle over Smith, and I like Devontae a lot. Yeah. Good times. And then technically, like, it has him like listed, like, U Stadium tweet out, like, top paid wide receivers on average per year. It has Waddle at number 4. But I think that's just counting his 3-year extension. I don't think they're thinking that this is a 3-year extension that I think is added on to the 2 years he already had. So the overall average is different when you look at it as for the 5 years that he'll be playing. Plus, I was calling on the stream the other day. I was saying, like, Waddle is one of the ones I think is underrated. Now what I'm seeing from Twitter, I've now realized I was correct because people are saying Waddle isn't that good. Interesting. Wow, this guy who tweeted that, who's a Buffalo fan, has 0 likes but 13 comments. I feel like people just think just because he's not your number 1 doesn't mean you can't pay. Like, since he's technically not our number 1 receiver. That's crazy. Yeah. But what do you guys think in the comments? Let me know how you guys feel about it. Initial reactions. My initial reactions, I feel pretty good. I mean, Waddle's probably one of my favorite players on this team, if not my favorite. I love Waddle. I think he's super important for the future of this team, being that number 1. Plus, I just think he's underrated. I think if he had to be your true number 1, no Tyreek, he plays better than people are expecting. But yeah. And this extension gets done, so I am imagining, like, since they did it before June 1st, I don't think this has any, I don't think it's probably changing his numbers at all this year, or probably even next year either, so. Yeah, I want to see the numbers too, like the how it's like, sometimes they add like void years. I'm curious to see if maybe there's a void year on his contract, or I'm curious to see like how much he's getting in each season. And then, like, is there potential for, extensions or, different, moving money around at any point within his contract? It is the right move. Yeah, I definitely agree it's the right move. You got to get... I want it to be Holland. Personally, like, I would I would probably extend Holland last. Like I understand like people having different priorities. I just think safety out of receiver, edge, quarterback is probably the least impactful position. I would rather go for the other guys first. But yeah, they're all good players that the Dolphins have to extend. Out of those four guys, with Tua, Holland, Waddle, Phillips, I would guarantee some void year. Yeah, I'm excited to see how it's structured, which I'm imagining we probably will see in like a couple days. So won't be talking about it now, but I'm just seeing if there's any more news coming out about it on Twitter. I haven't seen anything. Let's see. Adam Beasley said Jaylen Waddle's compensation from 2024 to 2028 per reports is 104.7 million. Devontae Smith is 92.7. And it doesn't make absolute, but this one for Jet doesn't have any. He gets 28.5 million a year. Yeah, Mike Garofalo is saying that it doesn't really have any like fluff or like inflated numbers, so that it looks like what it is straight up. So technically, his contract isn't 3 years, 84. It's what's reported initially is like a 104, and then that's for 5 years. So it's more like a 21-ish milk contract, which is pretty good value if you ask me. For your future number one, and he already has a number one receiver. It's just he's technically your number two on this team, but on most teams he's a number one. Looking through, see what else anyone else has to say. I would guarantee some void years. Yeah, probably. They definitely like to use some void years. Interesting. Yeah. Finn Central, this is awesome to you. By the time the extension money kicks in, this will look like a steal. Just reading that on Twitter. I agree. This is why you get these contracts done early, man. They always end up looking good, much better down the line. So get those contracts done early. The guys that you are expecting to keep around on this team. Yeah, it looks like that 5th year option you pick up. So it looks like the 5th year option will stay from what I've seen so far. That could change if when the contract actually comes out. But from what I've seen, it looks like these first 2 years are just going to stay the same. What he's getting, normal, which we'll see how it ends up playing out. But I'm happy for him too, because Waddle just seems like a good dude, high energy. The big money for Waddle won't kick in until Hill's gone. And and I've always said like I'm expecting Tyreek to be here for like 2 more years. That's my guess. I could see it being 1. I could see it being maybe 3, but my guess is 2. Just that's how I feel about it. So yeah, you won't see Waddle getting that money anyways until he's really gonna be your number one when it comes to like production and stuff. But yeah, big fan of this. I'll probably do a film breakdown on Waddle. I was thinking about was gonna do one anyways, just because. I also have a David Long video coming out. I literally already recorded it and it's uploading, so that will come out after the stream, pretty quickly after the stream. Actually, it should be pretty close. But yeah, definitely a fan of the Waddle extension. I love him as a player. He's one of my favorite players on the team. I definitely feel like he is super underrated after seeing all these people talking about him, but it is interesting. But yeah. Nothing else really popping up right now. But definitely looking at it, like taking it at face value, I feel pretty decent. Did not have Jaylen Waddle getting his extension before Tua Tagovailoa on my bingo card. I don't think it's that surprising. I did think Tua would probably get done first, but it doesn't surprise me that Waddle was the first out. I was expecting Waddle to be the first out of like Phillips and Holland. Doesn't surprise me, like, the 201 was probably going to come later down the line. Because I think there would be some restructure to his deal too up front. Yeah, getting the deal done before like Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb got paid, I think was big. Like players like Jamar Chase, Ayuk. I think that was important because they already had waited. Like players like Devontae and Amon-Ra were getting extended. So I think he got less than Amon-Ra, but more than Devontae, which, pretty good. I still think by end of training camp, Tua, Phillips, and Holland will also be extended. So you think all three get extended by this year? I think their goal is to try to get all four technically. I'm guessing now it's just three extended. I think they're definitely going after Tua to get extended. Now, the other two, I would love for them to get done. I think Holland's going to go for some big money, so I could see him getting held up. Phillips is interesting because he's coming off the injury. Now, I want to extend Phillips. I think they should do it now. Because I think Phillips is a very, very good player, and I think, probably the best value we get for him is right now, and he plays such a premium position, so I would love to see all of them extended. And I do think that's why you saw players like Christian Wilkins, Robert Hunt walk. The Dolphins wanted to extend these guys that we're talking about. And the Dolphins also probably feel, you look at the team down the line, their 2022 draft class and their 2023 draft class, they don't really have anyone that you're looking at and they're like, oh, you have to pay them big money. Especially the 2022 draft, which is the one right after Waddle and Phillips and Holland. There's not really anyone from that draft class. I haven't seen a signing bonus, Garrett. Not yet. I've kind of been scrolling through Twitter. But I think looking at that, that's a big reason I do agree that all of them will probably get extended. I think at least two more of those guys will get extended. I think Tua will get extended, and my guess is Phillips over Holland, but we'll see how that plays out. Could be either. Just depends. But I do think when it comes down to it, they feel comfortable that they can extend these guys because you got to look at the future of the team. When you look at the future of the team, after those guys, there's not a ton of players on the roster that you're looking at are going to have like insanely huge contracts. They're really the only guy that you've drafted that's currently shown something is Achane. And it's not like you're going to extend Achane to some crazy monster contract. He's a running back. But yeah. The only reason any of them doesn't extend is because, they're definitely going to try to extend all of them. I agree. I just don't know. I could see maybe them happening during the year too. I could see like a potential extension during the year, see how that plays out. But I do think the 201 they're trying to get done very quickly. Then I think after Tua, they'll go for the other guys. But I think the future is key. That's why they didn't sign Wilkins and Hunt, is because they wanted to sign these guys who are younger and potentially, more impactful for the team's future. Damn. Nothing else really. But it does look like pretty good value for if you look at it from a 5-year view, because everyone's kind of looking at it from what I've seen, a lot of the the main media is talking about it as the 3-year extension. But when you look at it from a 5-year thing and his actual average over 5 years, it's pretty good. And then by the time it gets to that bigger part of his contract, which will be the 3 years for $84 million, which will be down the line, I think Waddle should be in the prime of his career. How old is Waddle right now? Let me look up Jaylen Waddle's age, because I'm pretty sure he's still quite young. Yeah, he's 25, so which is normal for a guy going into his 4th season. Yeah, 4th season. Still very young for a guy going into his 4th season, about to get into his prime. And it looks, I've seen the videos, he looks as explosive as he's ever looked. If we extend Tua, Waddle, Phillips, and Holland over keeping Wilkins, that's an absolute win by year. Yeah, I think that was the thought process. Hey, Ryder, just saw the news. We'll rewind to hear your thoughts. Sorry, not sorry, not a fan of it. Personally, I am a fan of it. You can rewind to hear all of the thoughts that I had if you want to see it all. But I'm going to still be talking about it too. Very exciting news. Yes, I agree. You got to look at it from the 5-year outlook, because it's closer to a 21 million type thing. So far from what we've seen reported numbers wise. I will say though, I don't think you should overreact in either direction, whether you're a fan or not a fan. I should think you should wait until you really see the actual contract details. I think that's the best way to get the idea. You know, you want to. We've seen the guaranteed monies and we've seen the 3-year 84 million number, but we haven't seen how it's truly structured. And you know, if there's void years, how things, you know, when they can potentially, you know, make moves down the line. Now I'm seeing Waddle clips on my timeline. I'm excited to get into some Waddle film for sure. Always a joy watching Jaylen Waddle play football. Phillips may be easier to sign since he's had the injury. He may be open to signing earlier with the thought of getting some guaranteed money and protecting himself from another possible injury. Yeah, that's why I was thinking Phillips first, because one, with the injury, he could be potentially cheaper, but also, and Phillips might be like, you know, might as well get my money now, be safer. I've had injury problems in the past in college, and then now I just had this big injury. But then I could see Phillips playing the game where he bets on himself, like I was playing, like he could be thinking like he was playing amazing football, was playing outstanding, and then he decides, you know, instead of, you know, taking potential less money, I could bet on myself, make more money down the line. But I think Phillips extension wouldn't be that hard to do after the 201. I said on your show the other day, Waddle will end up Miami's best wide receiver in history. That is not a bad take, especially when you consider, like, now that he's going to be here for many more years and he's already put up like insane numbers his first few years. It would not surprise me if Waddle finishes as, yeah, like statistically the best Dolphins receiver in history. Because like Tyreek's only been here 2 years, but he's probably the best player at that position they've had in history. But I wouldn't say he's like the best Dolphins receiver in history because he hasn't been here long enough, you know? But yeah, if Waddle spends his whole career in Miami, that's not a bad take to have. I don't get the 3 to, yeah, he had a 5th-year option already picked up. So basically what's being reported is like this is his 4th year. Obviously, you know, they signed the first round picks, they have 4 years, and then they all have their 5th-year option. So technically Waddle was going to be here for another 2 seasons. And I think that average it out to like I forget how many it is per year for that, but it was like 21 to 24 or something like that for these first 2 seasons. So when you look at it as a whole, instead of it looking at it as the 3-year extension is added on to that, so it ends up being 5 years, and it looks like it's about, I've seen varying numbers, but it looks like it's about 5 years, 104 million. So it's in the 20 to 21 million range overall. So if you look at it from a 5-year perspective, it's actually pretty good. And you also have to think by the time the contract kicks in, as you know, Scotty said, I've been talking about that Waddle will probably be your number 1 overall anyways. And by the time that kicks in, receivers are going to be getting paid even more ridiculous amount of money. So I think the contract will look good down the line. Yeah, Grant, 4th year, pick up the 5th, and then we extended him to 3 more years. So it's technically a 5-year contract. I'm waiting for the exact details to come out because then we can get like exact numbers and we can see exactly how it's structured. And who knows, maybe they also could have changed some stuff for his first 2 seasons, but who knows? Where do we get this extra 2 years for 5 years? This year he was already under contract. The 5th-year option was picked up, so that's the 2025 season he'll be playing under that, and then his 3rd year, then the next 3 years will play out over 2026, 2027, and 2028. But yeah, I'm a fan of the move. At least that's what's being reported right now, and everyone's talked about with his contract. But yeah. 57 NFL players have at least 800 routes in the last 2 seasons, and only Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson, and A.J. Brown have averaged more yards per route run than Jaylen Waddle. Well, yeah. That's what Schefter tweeted out 15 minutes ago. So only Tyreek, Jefferson, and A.J. Brown have more yards per route run over the last 2 seasons. I mean, and 2 of those players are on the same team. Pretty insane. Let me look at this. I'm looking at a Finn's Focus report right now by Tyler DeSena. Let's see what he's had to say about it. Yes, an interesting note about the extension is that it does not kick in until for another 2 years. This is because the 2024 season is the final season of his rookie deal, and the 2025 season he will be playing under his 5th-year option. This is great news for the Dolphins fans as he is in Miami for at least another 5 years. When the extension is set to kick in, Waddle may be receiver 1 as the intermediate future of Tyreek Hill's playing status remains uncertain. It is very refreshing to see Miami extend some homegrown talent, especially after the loss of Robert Hunt, Chris Wilkes free agency. With Tua Tagovailoa, Jalen Phillips, Javon Holland due for an extension, Miami has some tough decisions to make. Yeah, that's the post that Vince Focus, Tyler Senna made. Basically what we kind of had been talking about. So 2026 his new contract kicks in? Yeah, it would kick in a little bit after. Yeah, and I'm kind of waiting to see if there's any restructure of the first years. There could be some restructure of the first years that we don't know about yet. That could happen when we see the details. I'm not sure if that's going to be the case. But yeah, the 3-year extension that we're seeing right now is down the line. What's up, Jack? How you doing? But yeah, it's I mean, they were going to extend Waddle and pay him anyway, so now you got to think that 28 mil per year or whatever, that's going to look like an absolute steal by the time that contract extension kicks in, because wide receivers are going to be making even crazier money by then. So, I like the move. But yeah, I mean, basically all the receivers in Waddle's range were all getting paid. Like Devontae Smith got paid similarly. Amon-Ra St. Brown got paid even more than what Waddle got paid. So kind of this is where it was going anyways. But I'm definitely excited. I'm looking for them to keep those 4 as we've been talking about. I could not, bro. I think Waddle would get way more than this if he entered free agency after his 5th year. Personally, he would get over 30 million a year, especially by that time. The cap would go up. Waddle would get insane numbers. Bro, Christian Kirk got 20 million a couple years ago. Waddle would get insane numbers. He would get over 30 million a year. It would be insane. Bro, Waddle is an absolute, like, I think people are underrating Waddle. Waddle's 13th in receiving yards in 3 seasons of Dolphins history. Yeah. Duper led with after 11 seasons, Clayton after 10. Yeah, if Waddle sticks here his whole career, he probably will break all those records. Javon Hollins tweeted out Dubsky. You know, he's excited for Waddle getting his extension. Someone responded to him saying, "You are not seeing anywhere close to that kind of money." And Holland responded, "Fam, why are you pocket watching? It's not your money." Some fans are kind of ridiculous with their comments. Why do people keep calling Waddle a wide receiver 2? It's insane. But yeah. But yeah, really like this move for the Dolphins. Love it for Waddle too. Love Jaylen Waddle. Love the energy. Love him as a player. But yeah, I think this is just the beginning for Dolphins extensions. Plus, now June 1st is right around the corner, and Dolphins will have money opening up. Now we'll see if the Dolphins do any extensions, that start with, this year being restructured as well. Because I think with Tua, we're probably going to see some restructure when it comes to this year, the next year. Like, it will be a full-time thing. Like with Waddle, because it seemed like this was sort of the thing with the wide receivers. They just added extensions onto what they had already. Because that's what the Eagles did with Devontae Smith. Dolphins did it with Waddle. Waddle would get more by default since the price always goes up does not mean that the value is there. Not sure. I guess I understand what you're trying to say, but the value would be there because you have to look at it because we're talking about a future. We're talking about the future because the value in 2 to 3 years would be 28 million for the Dolphins. He 100% would get more than 28 million, so the value is there technically. Like, so I'm not understanding the logic too much. But yeah. Because honestly, I think even if he hit free agency next year, he would still get more than what he got in that 3-year extension, which wouldn't hit till 2026. Like, look at what Christian Wilkins was expected to get like 24 million on the open market and got 27 mil. Obviously a different position. Reworking a shot depending on the money's there to pay out if other options. See, I don't really understand the kicking the can logic either. It's just an extension. Like, he was going to get paid a lot of money regardless down the line, potentially more than what he's getting paid now. So I don't really understand the logic, Grant. I mean, yeah, if it's fine if you just maybe you're not as high on Waddle. I'm just very high on Waddle. I'm watching this clip over and over again. This is versus the Bills from last year. Absolutely cooking 2 defenders. Trying to see if there's any more details. This is not every. The thing is, yeah, okay, so you're saying you don't value Waddle as a top 5 receiver in the NFL right now. He's not getting paid as a top 5 receiver in the NFL right now. He's technically would be getting paid top 5 in 2 years, but by the time that rolls around, he'd probably be getting paid more like top 15 because other people are going to get big extensions. So when you do like, the math logically for every season, he's technically not getting paid top 5 right now. He wouldn't technically get that top 5 money for multiple years, but then other people are going to get extended, get more than that. So to me, it's great value at all possible points. And to me, he's already a top 10 receiver. And when guys do get these extension, these big monies, they technically get overpaid anyway. So to me, it's not really an overpay. But I do want to see the actual details come out. In 2 years, when the contract kicks in, we were talking about how team friendly the deal is. Yeah, I 100% agree. But the fact that Waddle's putting up the numbers he's putting with Tyreek on the team is insane. I don't think other receivers will be putting up the types of numbers Waddle is putting up with Tyreek on the team, especially with the numbers Tyreek's putting up. Like, you don't see 2 players putting up those numbers. Like, as it was said, Waddle was 4th in the league over the last 2 seasons, like yards per route run, only behind A.J. Brown, Justin Jefferson, and Tyreek Hill, who are some of the other top 5, 10 players at the position. Right or no, kicking the can was in reference to what Scotty said that Greer could rework Waddle's contract in the later part of his new contract, if that makes sense. Yeah, I get what you're trying to say. I mean, it's tough to have, conversations over chats, like. Yeah, it's just like it's a future value thing. Because technically his extension did not change anything for these next 2 seasons from what we know so far. So he's still getting paid the same amount, and then he'll get that 3-year, 84 million that they've talked about in 2026 to 2028. And by then, the value, instead of being top 4, which it would look like right now, it would be like probably like top 15 when other guys get their extensions. Yeah. Um, let's see. And you also have to think like we talked about earlier, like Jefferson hasn't been extended, Ayuk hasn't been extended, Jamar Chase hasn't been extended, T Higgins hasn't been extended. I'm also missing someone, CD Lamb. We talked about those players. Those players haven't got paid yet, and they're all going to get paid very soon. So all of those guys, I would guess, would get around the same. And the guaranteed is 76 million, which is makes the deal more like a 25 mil type thing. Um, yeah, I think it just comes down to film for me, and I know people think that having Hill on the team would help Waddle, and it does in certain situations, but it also gives Waddle less targets overall than he would actually get. Like if Waddle got wide receiver one type targets, he'd be putting up even crazier numbers, and he already puts up crazy numbers, and I think that would probably earn him more respect around the league. I definitely think that Hill could help him, but at times last year, as McDaniel showed OBJ on those third down situations, they were both getting double teamed. So, and last year, the one game Tyreek didn't play, Waddle absolutely cooked the Jets, who have one of the best secondaries in the league. I feel like every time Waddle's got that chance to prove himself as like the main guy, he's done it. So I feel pretty good about it overall. I think they scheme for both. I definitely think Tyreek takes a lot of scheming. Like people definitely talk about Tyreek, but when they talk about Tyreek, they also talk about Waddle, and Waddle definitely gets his respect too. They don't just Waddle does not get a lot of just one-on-ones because of Tyreek. Because if Waddle was getting a ton of one-on-ones, he would be getting 12 targets every game at least. Dun, 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 dun. I'm looking for more details. You see. No, but it's the article I read. Oh no, that was sorry. That article earlier was from Tanner Elliott, but it's yeah. Waddle has cooked the Bills too. Yeah. Oh yeah, he's definitely he cooked the Jets in both games last year. He cooked the Bills a lot in 2022 also. 2023 it wasn't as much, but yeah, Waddle's just a great player. Like I think if the Dolphins had paid like Robert Hunt what he got and Christian Wilkins what they got, I think those would have been overpays. I think when you look at this contract, it's not overpaying. Oh yeah, Scotty said just what I just said. Yeah. I'm just wondering. I really do want to see how this contract is structured because with how people are talking about it could be different. But I do think it's that whole like 5 year thing, and then it kicks in after the 3 year part. That's been the 384 comes in down the line. But I do want to see if anything's changed in those first two seasons. You guys are talking about the rookie season, dude, and Waddle was screwed that season too. Like the way we talked about how Tua was screwed. The offensive coordinators did not trust Tua in that Waddle's rookie season, And they used Waddle like he was Jarvis Landry, and Waddle still had like good numbers, like catching wise. But they limited his play style so much. Like you saw how much like his yards per catch went up after McDaniel became the offensive coordinator. I don't know. That rookie season, the entire offense was screwed from the play calling because they thought Tua was limited, but they just didn't know how to use him. Watching that first season compared to the McDaniel offense is so rough, man. Yeah. I think talked about what I wanted to. You got to sign your guys early. This is why you sign them now. If the Dolphins waited, Waddle's numbers only would have went up. That's why they should sign Tua now in this offseason. And I also think they should try to potentially get Phillips and Holland, depending how it plays out. So I feel good about it overall. David Long film breakdown coming out soon, and I'll do a Waddle film breakdown next. So check out for that one. See you guys next